Steel bottle, steel bottle. Boston Celtics, steel bottle, steel bottle. Oh yeah! Steel bottle, steel bottle. Boston Celtics, steel bottle, steel bottle. And 19.
Beat Rob, Jim, Becca, J. King.
Steel bottle, steel bottle.
The Caesar on the court to get another ring.
Steel bottle, steel bottle.
Everybody in the chat now sing.
Steel bottle, steel bottle. Steel bottle, steel bottle. Boston Celtics, steel bottle, steel bottle. Oh yeah! Shut your ass up, man.
You guys always have been here.
What up, what up, what up? Still Potable, the greatest Celtics podcast ever. It's me, Jay King from The Athletic, here with Brian Robb from MassLive.com, coming to you after the Celtics survived a James Harden fourth quarter surge. It was went from a kind of boring game to a game that, maybe the Celtics are going to blow it, to all of a sudden James Harden missed a three at the buzzer that would have forced overtime. And I thought to myself, that would have been one of the most insane finishes I have ever seen if he had just made that three. It happened quick. It happened real quick. And Celtics probably should have fouled Ivica Zubac on the final play before he could pass it to James Harden. The Celtics were up 3, 1.6 seconds left. Clippers had no timeouts left. And Zubac caught it inside the arc. That has to be a foul, right?
Yeah. It's especially if it's back to the basket.
Yes.
In that spot. And I don't know, I guess there's Derek Wright was in there. Here's my other question on that sequence though for you. Does Payne Pritchard just need to miss that second free throw with the Clippers having no timeouts left? Or is it you want to I know you want to get up 3. I know it's like, but in my mind it's also like you take away the like a miss off of a free throw like that, like you're dealing with a 60-foot heave at best.
Agreed, but also the odds. First of all, you take away a loss when you go up 3.
That's fair, right? So I get that part of it.
Unless you foul a 3-point shooter and he hits a 4-point play, which if that happened on the last play of the game would be insane. And the odds of the Clippers actually getting a good shot were probably pretty low in that situation. I think there you do exactly what the Celtics did, but if you get a chance to execute the foul, you have to foul. Zubac caught it inside the arc with his back to the basket. Foul him there. Game is over. That's it.
Yeah.
And instead, they didn't give the foul. Harden got free. Walsh was petrified of fouling him because he didn't want to foul him again for the 6th time, sending him to the line. He had just fouled him like 20 seconds earlier on a 3-point attempt that was reviewed for a flagrant foul, even though it was probably barely a foul, but it was a landing space call, and they reviewed it for a landing space. So, yeah, you definitely think about a free throw there, but I wouldn't do it just because it eliminates the loss. To make that free throw eliminates the loss. And if you miss it, that probably ends up well too. But I mean, the way it happened, the Clippers got the best shot possible, and you still get away with a win. Like,
right.
I don't know.
It's tough.
I wouldn't risk a loss.
That's fair.
But you're right. If they had missed and then 1.6 seconds left, like it's tough to get up a decent 3 at all.
Right. Or even just corral the rebound, period.
Yeah.
Like after you get a tap on it for your Celtics, like but again, like.
But then you also kind of risk a foul on the rebound, although you don't have to send guys to the glass, I guess, at all.
Right. It's a fascinating, like there's no 100% right or wrong like to do. Like you can both sides are defensible when they made it. But that was something in my head when like, oh, they don't have timeouts here. I wonder if Pritchard will just throw it off the rim and see what happens here. But like you said, there is going up 3 in that spot has its advantages. I don't know. And then the way they guarded the play, like no one was on the ball, like guarding the inbounds, which was I think was a interesting choice. And you look back at it, and it was.
And then they had Derek White on Zubats.
Right. There's no big guy in the game.
So throwing it deep was easier because they just threw it up to the 7-footer. The Celtics didn't have any size out there to even contest for like a jump ball type situation.
Totally. So that's I kind of put that on. Like you have to have, if you're not going to put anyone on the ball there, you got to be expecting that type of throw to come in, or you have to have a bigger guy in the game if in that spot. I don't know. It was a
I would
crazy
change a little bit. They'll look at that and think they did some things wrong that they could have done differently, including put size on the court, including fouling Zubats as soon as he caught it. Like the second somebody has a back to the basket and are inside the arc, foul, game over. But it is hard, and it was a quick pass from Zubats to Harden. It's not like that took much time at all. Obviously, there was 1.6 seconds left. They didn't have much time at all. So it was very quick and would have taken like a rapid foul by Derek White to do it. But that's what you have to be prepared for. I would guess like the next practice, the next shoot around, whatever it is, next time they meet and watch film, they go over a lot of stuff from that and probably harp on the fact that you can foul there and harp on maybe like putting Nemi in the game or something to just make that a tougher pass to Zubats. Because a lot of teams, like that's the play you run. I think like the Valparaiso play.
That's
I've seen it in men's leagues. I've seen it in high school games.
We tried to run out of my men's league team 3 weeks ago. I called it with the timeout. It was 2 seconds left. I was like, all right, guys, we're throwing it to our center at half court, and then he's going to try to dish it out to the Bryce Drew. That's literally all. That's all I have in my on the clipboard for end of game situations. But it's glorious. It's just a good. That was a picture perfect execution by the Clippers there. But the
Did
Celtics,
it work in your men's league?
No. We got a clean look, but we got a clean look.
I feel like nobody guards that play properly because you always look to the ball, and then the second you look to the ball, somebody's streaking to the 3-point arc, and you get a shot off. So Clippers, they did execute great. When they didn't have any timeouts left and there was only 2 seconds left, I was like, this game's over. And turns out it wasn't over. Harden put on a show down the stretch. He hit it. The last 22 seconds, he had 9 points, almost 12. The last 4 minutes and 20 seconds, he had 18 points. And like just out of nowhere brought the Clippers back. Some of that was
miss any free throws, Jay? I'm trying to like look back at that. Like they pretty much hit which is the crazier part of how they got so close there.
Yeah, it was just he was doing so much stuff. Like Harden was doing everything. It was, and I actually thought Jordan Walsh did a great job on him for the most part during the game. Like Harden got to the line 15 times. Jordan Walsh fouled him 5 times and sent him to the line 5 different times. I believe he sent him to the line for 11 free throw attempts, 11 of his 15. And I thought Jordan Walsh the whole game was very, very clear. Like he did not want to foul. Hands straight up, wasn't reaching in the cookie jar, didn't get caught with a lot of the Harden stuff, and the ref still sent Harden to the line.
I mean, he fouled him 5 times. I think like 2 or 3 were maybe legit fouls. I think there.
It was
a couple of those in the last 4 minutes. It was still an incredible run by Harden, but he definitely got like vintage MVP Harden treatment on a couple of those.
The one where he like leaned in and Walsh was just straight up.
Yeah.
And Harden kind of leaned in and toppled over. That was a tough call. There was a call early in the game where Walsh like backed up, hands straight up. I don't even know if there was contact. There might have been earlier in the possession. He went to the free throw line. There was another play early in the third quarter, and Jalen brought up the stretch early in the third quarter when they sent Harden to the line 3 times in like a 3 possession span. And it was Jordan fouled him twice. One was probably legit. The first one was not. The first one was just kind of like hand straight up. Harden leaned into him. And then there was a defensive 3-second call that sent him to the line for another one. And Jalen thought that got Harden going, and he was probably right because he was really kind of off his game in the first half. The Clippers were all off their games in the first half, but they don't really have any playmakers other than Harden when Kawhi's not out there, and obviously Brad Beal's out for the rest of the season. They just don't have any other scorers, any play. Like, they need Harden to do everything. And so it was a big defensive assignment for Jordan. I thought he handled it for the most part pretty well. And even though Harden had 37, just kind of tip your cap at some of the stuff. Probably get a little mad at the officials, but that's going to happen sometimes when you're playing one of the best foul drawers in the history of the game.
Yeah, I mean, they essentially had the game won twice before the last Cavs comebacks here in the middle of the fourth quarter, and then when the Celtics went up by 10 there with like 9 seconds left, that's when it looked safe again. And I'd bring up the 3-shot foul on Harden in the last minute. Like, I think that they reviewed for a flagrant, which is hilarious, because it was a landing area. But Walsh, I'd say, I imagine both of those would have been challenges, Jay, if the Celtics had any challenges left at that point. And that certainly played into Harden's hands down the stretch, where he could be aggressive and kind of work his masterful flopping there. But without a doubt, Walsh just is. We're looking at 4 or 5 straight games now of very solid to great defensive performances by Jordan Walsh.
How much staying power do you think he has?
A lot. I'm kind of not fully so. I mean, again, we probably could have said the same thing about Minot last week.
Probably
so
were saying the same thing about
Minot. But the thing with Walsh that I think bodes in his favor well here is he's been in the system for like 3 years now, which I think matters. In terms of comfort level, and I don't know, like defense. I think he's more capable of handling smaller guys like Harden than a Minot, like in these head-to-head assignments. And so it's like he seems almost like the perfect medium right now defensively between like Minot and Ugo in terms of what like the role of those guys having of just taking the onus of guarding the team's best player. And so, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm optimistic about all these guys, but I think this is the fact that who he's done it against with Harden now and like going back to Maxey and even that Orlando series. It's like these are like legit top tier scorers that he's more than holding his own against.
Yeah, it's been really impressive. Just Mazzulla brought up his discipline tonight, and I thought that was a very good word.
Yep.
Like, he guarded Maxey down the stretch of that Philly game and forced a couple misses. And during those sessions, like, stayed on his feet, stayed close to him, forced a miss. With Harden today, it was like he was so good. And you look at the box score, you'd never know it. Harden got 15 free throw attempts. Walsh almost fouled out. You would never know it looking at the box score, but he was so good at not reaching, at avoiding the silly fouls, at just all the stuff you have to be good at game plan wise. And I think that's what stood out to me about his defense during this stretch is like Minot racked up blocks and steals, but there were still times when his focus would go and Mazzulla would get on him for one thing or another and yell at him. With Walsh, it seems like they really trust him.
Yeah.
And they trust that he'll be attentive to what they want him to be attentive to. And I think that's really important. And I think that will help him gain trust. And it seems to be putting him in a position where he's the defensive-minded guy that they're trusting the most right now. I'm not ruling out anything this season with Joe Mazzulla's rotation when it comes to the wings, the non-Jalen wings, but Jordan Walsh has been consistent. He has been just solid, and He's done it against Boncaro. He's guarded Jaren Jackson Jr. He's guarded Tyrese Maxey. And now he's guarded James Harden. And those are all very different players. And I thought he did a good job on all of them. So, I mean, he scored 10 points once all season and just keeps getting handed more and more minutes because he's just doing all the other stuff. He's defending like they need him to. And, you know, it's, as Jalen said tonight, like, they need a guy to do that because Jalen has too much on his plate offensively to do that every single night, especially with the pace the Celtics are playing at. Derek White, like, he's just not big enough to guard certain guys in the NBA. And he's also playing a ton of minutes with a big offensive role. They need someone to be in that closing unit guarding guys, and it's Jordan Walsh right now.
Yeah. And just if the starters do, like, they not only need that, they need someone to rebound too in that group. And Minot was doing that to some degree to Walsh is doing it at a elite level for his size on top of the defensive assignments that you talked about, Jay. So it's like you're getting both of that. And with this starting group now, if you don't need the scoring, if Pritchard and White are back shooting wise, which they have, it looks like they're there or certainly heading in that direction if you're Derek White in these last few games. So Walsh is playing within himself. He took 5 shots, 1 3, but like he's hitting the offensive glass hard. But yeah, if he can take the onus off of Jalen and Derek White and let those guys set the table offensively like they have been for much of this year, like that's when you're looking at an offense that is it's 8th in the league right now, which is wild to think given where Pritchard and White have shot for most of the year. So if Walsh can continue to just steady the defense, steady the rebounding enough to it's manageable like it was for most of tonight, then yeah, it's hard. Again, like all bets are off, but he's given them no reason to think about moving him out of the starting 5 at this point. And certainly not out of the closing 5.
Yeah, he's just been solid defensively. And I say that after he gave up 37 points. And the Celtics sent Harden to the line 15 times. That's what'll happen sometimes against the best players in the game, especially when the refs gave Harden some calls. There were definitely some. I hardly ever mention officiating, but some of those were tough calls on Jordan Walsh. I will say that. Like, you will never ever hear me talk about officiating. Almost never, unless it's a big call that goes the wrong way, and we have to talk about it. But this was some pretty
that comeback was made possible.
Pretty frustrating ones for the Celtics, I'm sure.
Yeah, like one of those 2 or 3 calls were necessary for the Clippers to be capable of making that comeback, like or be on the verge of making that comeback. So, yeah, like Walsh, I walk away from that night being like that was a strong defensive performance of Jordan Walsh. Like, and you're not going to say that a lot against guys Thursday morning nights, but that was where it was for 3.5 quarters, and that game should have been over long before it was. But I guess we can. I don't know how much where we want to go to next with this game, but Jordan was definitely, I think, like storyline number 1, and yet again from this one.
We won't talk about it too much because it's like the most boring thing possible. But the turnover margin was a huge deal again. The Celtics have turned the turnover margin into one of their biggest strengths. They are, I don't know what they rank now in forcing turnovers, but they're in the top 10. And they're also number 1 in preventing their own turnovers. And it almost every night gives them an advantage in the possession game, which they need so badly. They enter today 24th in effective field goal percentage. And you already said they're 8th ranked in offense. So that just shows you they're getting their extra possessions in other ways. And it's with offensive rebounding. It's with winning the possession battle. They need those things. Their offense isn't dynamic enough. They don't post up. They don't really get to the paint, to the rim. Although Jalen got to the paint a lot today, missed a ton of layups. Was mad at himself for missing layups. He had 33 points and 13 rebounds. Was like, I just didn't play well today. And he was probably right.
And a plus 22.
Yeah, plus 22. he missed a ton of layups. It hurt them. It cost them. It gave the Clippers a chance to come back. But for the most part, like Celtics, they're a jump shooting team that hasn't shot jump shots well, and they're 8th in offense because they take care of the ball and because they offensive rebound much better than they used to. So that ability to handle the turnover margin is just huge for this team. Joe's talked about it a couple of times, how important that has been. We probably haven't mentioned enough, but like I said, it's the most boring thing ever. It's more fun to talk about like the 8 threes Peyton Pritchard hit.
Yes.
He was ridiculous in the first 2 quarters. Just hit everything.
He's raised his 3-point shooting percentage on the year from 25 to 32% in these last 2 games by going, I think, combined 13 of 23. Yeah, this is kind of like, I think, what we thought we would get out of this Celtics offense on like really good nights during the season. It's just 3-point shooting across the board in the backcourt. And it was literally just Pritchard and White doing it all from 3 tonight. Those guys were 12-21. Garza hit a couple off the bench while scoring 13 points before fouling out in 14 minutes.
Garza had a hilarious game.
just both sides of the coin of Luka Garza fully on display tonight.
Just an incredible 14 minutes. Just did everything in those 14 minutes. He was hitting threes. He had the and one. His and one celebrations are just classic. Like, so funny. They really are hilarious. He just gets so gassed up after his and ones. And this is now his 3rd game out of 4 with double-figure scoring. He's been very productive offensively off the Celtics bench. Kind of what I expected from him, honestly, was that he would be on the glass. He would be very productive offensively, and sometimes his defense would be a problem. But his offense has been a pretty big deal, and his rebounding has been a pretty big deal. He entered tonight averaging 9.9 personal fouls per 100 possessions.
Oof.
And then had 6 fouls in 14 minutes.
That's probably going to be going up.
Yeah. He's averaging 7.2 fouls per 36 minutes. Just incredible numbers from Luka Garza. It was a funny game.
The best that the Celtics bench makes have to offer. But again, if he's putting up the points, he's putting up the points. So it was a minus 13 for him. Like he obviously had his hands full defensively with the bench unit out there. But I mean, outside of him, the bench unit just a complete 0 tonight. I mean, I guess Shireman had some solid spots, but Simons only played 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was a tough first half for him, and then they just kind of decided, yeah, forget it.
Yeah, like they gave him a little run in the fourth quarter, but like, all right, that's enough. And then, I mean, Hauser right now is battling it, and only 7 minutes for him. After he missed his threes, only a couple minutes in the second half there too. You know, a slim Jay, but this is like, it's kind of wild that his production has dropped to that low where they like, you know, only play him 7 minutes in a game like this, given where we, you know, the level of minutes we thought we'd have nightly at the start of the season.
Yeah. The bench has kind of gone up and down. It's been helpful some nights. Other nights you're like, those are some tough minutes. It's just kind of hit or miss with that Celtics bench. And tonight was kind of a miss. Totally miss. However, have you seen the Luka Garza meme of his running?
No.
So my brother sent this to me. Some of my friends, I had like 5 people send this to me, and it says, when you're running late, but also been watching Luka Garza play basketball a lot lately. And they show Garza on the court like this. And then it's a guy named Celtic Kyle on Instagram, and then it cuts to him on his couch, and he looks at his watch and realizes he's late, and then starts running up the stairs, and then he's running down the hall, and then he's running down the street, all like Luka Garza, like
just full,
just full, just classic,
lumbering,
classic. Yeah, I'll send it to you. You got to check it out.
Fair.
Everybody should check that out. Hilarious. Luka Garza's running style is just classic. Shout out to Celtic Kyle. That was a genius Instagram. But yeah, he fouls a lot. This is like, I thought it would be an easy Celtics win for a while. The Clippers looked like they were totally disinterested for a while. Ty Lue was calling timeouts left and right. The Clippers just looked like they didn't want to be there, but they woke up, came back. Harden woke up, kind of took over the game, and I thought the Celtics might have gone away from Peyton Pritchard too much, honestly, down the stretch. It looked like we fucked up. I realized this after we fucked up. I don't think anyone asked Peyton about his ankle.
No, it was.
Oh, we did ask?
Yeah.
What did he say about the ankle?
He said that he'd be fine, but that Harden got him. Pretty much wanted to give Harden credit for like busting move on like that. But said that wasn't, that he said it wasn't a factor, essentially.
I must have missed that part while interviewing Jordan Walsh. But yeah, it looked like he tweaked his ankle pretty late in the game, guarding Harden. But I just thought, like, he was absolutely cooking, and the Clippers were having a really tough time guarding him, and they sort of went away from him and had Derek White and Jaylen Brown run pick and rolls in the fourth quarter. I didn't think it was a huge problem. Like, they still got some pretty good stuff out of the Jaylen and Derek stuff. But I just feel like when Peyton has it going like that, you got to get him more involved.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, Jaylen took 33 shots, which I think was the most he'd taken in a game in, I think, 4 years. So, he was fairly efficient in the fourth quarter, but it seemed pretty like one-dimensional points with those two guys. So yeah, that's something where, I don't know, you look at, I guess you count this a big crunch time win here for the Celtics, but this will go down as a win. But this is something where they almost nearly blew a 10-point lead in 90 seconds there, and obviously had the game fully under control in the fourth quarter before letting the Clippers sneak back into it.
It was funny. I won't say who asked the question because I'm not trying to shit on him, but someone asked Jaylen, like, you guys have been bad in crunch time games. Like, what was different tonight? And I wanted to be like, well, they were up 12 to begin with, and Clippers just didn't really have enough time. So that was probably part of it. Celtics did have like a couple times where they responded, pushed the lead back out, but the Clippers literally just ran out of time. It was, I don't know if this was like a Celtics crunch time issues are fixed type of deal. It was more, oh wow, they got lucky there, and it's good for them that they snuck away with that win. But it will be technically a crunch time win for them. So salute to them getting their crunch time numbers up. They are, speaking of crunch time numbers, I'm going to check the stats right now. Crunch time this year, they have a net rating of,
let me guess, minus 40.
Close. Minus 31.
Oh my God.
The
3 and 5 overall.
3 and 5 overall in crunch time games, minus 31. Defensive rating of 134.5 in those minutes.
Yeah, that's
defensive rebound rate of 58.3
ooh
in those minutes.
That's
so Yeah.
How much more do you think it went down after this game tonight? It probably that the win.
No,
probably
this
still sunk your-
includes, I believe, the game tonight.
Okay. Yeah. So it was probably like minus 25 going into this game, and now after this crunch time win, it's probably down to minus 31 or something like that because they definitely were outscored in the last 5 minutes of this game.
Up to 500 now, though.
Yeah.
The 500 Boston Celtics.
And probably will be going over it this week with a couple games against the Brooklyn Nets on the horizon.
A lot of Brooklyn Nets action coming soon. There's a lot of just.
They're 2 games out of second place in the East. The East is a freaking joke. And there's a lot of injuries in the East right now, too, with some pretty key players. Celtics, outside of that Jason Tatum guy, very healthy. Yeah, this will be an interesting stretch, Jay. Like if they get 2 games of the Nets, you got Orlando at home on Sunday. Like they could put themselves above 500 here if they can take care of business and look like a team that's 8th in the league in net rating right now, despite their crunch time woes.
Last question for you before we end this podcast. Do you ever use the crutch and say you're just having fun?
Oh no, I stay away from that. That's just a kid thing to do. So I stay away from that sort of vernacular.
So for those who don't understand what the hell I'm talking about, Joe Mazzulla was asked by a child reporter for Sports Illustrated Kids.
Were you an SI for kids? Did you get SI for kids growing up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I used to love SI for kids. Hell yeah.
Dynamite stuff.
So he was asked by this child how he pushes his players but keeps the game fun. He said, first he said, "What's up, kid?" When the child was announced that he was going to be asking a question. "What's up, kid?" Hilarious to just call him kid. I appreciated that. And then his answer to the question was, "I struggle with that, to be honest with you. I think everyone has a different definition of fun, and you have to find one as a team. I think fun is a cop-out sometimes. When things aren't going well, everybody likes to say, well, let's just have fun. And it's like, well, what does that mean? I think you have to define what fun looks like as a team, and then you have to go after it, kind of have to go after that. But that phrase can be a cop-out sometimes. So as you get older, kid, don't use it. Say, I just want to have fun. It's like, well, what does that mean? So you've just got to define that. It's a good question. I struggle with that. Yeah, I think he does struggle with having fun. The concept of having fun, by the way, is not like super difficult to define. Like, are you enjoying yourself? I think for a team, you could probably define what produces fun for you. And that's probably what he means. Like, what produces fun? Well, I want to play tough basketball. I want to pass to my teammates. I want to have everyone involved. I want to win. That's fun.
I want to win 57-4.
That's how I have fun. I don't have fun getting my ass kicked. I don't have fun doing this, doing that. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's great to ask Joe Mazzulla about fun. I wish I was a kid so I could ask Joe questions and he'd give me real answers.
I can't wait to read that story.
Yeah, I might need to get a subscription to Sports Illustrated for kids.
But yeah, that was that happens a lot. I feel like once or twice a year you get that the kid at the press conference asking a question. And for that kid, I was like a really like in depth, like, oh wow, like he got it out well. It was like,
yeah,
probably well thought out. And then Joe just ties him in a knot, throws the curveball back at him.
Like, don't ever ask about fun, kid. It's like, good question though. But it reminded me, I don't know if I've ever told this story on the pod, but one time years ago, Brad was still the head coach. There was a kid. This was back before coaches did like press conferences. It used to be scrums, media scrums. So we would be in the hallway asking the questions, and everyone was in a scrum. And I shouted down a little kid who was there, probably for Sports Illustrated for Kids, and like this kid started asking a question, but I didn't realize it was a kid, and I like spoke over him. And when you're in a press conference or a scrum, sometimes you just gotta like ask the question, and sometimes you try to ask at the same time as someone else. You got to shout them out to get your question in, or there's like etiquette to it. But that day I started asking the question at the same time as this kid, and I just shouted out the kid, and he had to wait to ask his question while I asked some dumbass thing of Brad Stevens. And then I realized it was a kid, and I felt so bad. I felt so terrible. But
Did Brad go to you immediately, or was he like torn, being like, "Oh," or did you you just shouted down the kid so much?
I shouted down the kid and continued to ask the question, and then Brad answered my question while the poor kid waited, and then the kid had to ask it after me.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
Yeah, this is my job, kid. I'm fighting for my livelihood here, kid. Get used to it. This isn't about fun. This is about getting shit done. Yep. So tough moment for me back then. Yeah, there we go. Children reporters always bring something unique to the press conferences. Shout out to them. Shout out to you, the kids, the gods, the legends. We appreciate you all for subscribing to us on the Patreon. We love you all. Take care.
Steel bottle, steel bottle, the Boston steel bottle, steel bottle. Oh yeah!
Go down from eating and drinking and all that wild stuff.